In the Congo, the mighty Congo, the gorillas kill tonight. It's the Killer Gorilla movie. What more do you need? Congo was a 1995 film adaptation of the 1980 best-selling novel by writer and director Michael Crichton, who's best known for writing the original Jurassic Park novel and many other sci-fi stories, including his directorial debut Westworld in 1973. He later developed the novel of Congo as a movie screenplay tailored to feature Sean Connery after working with him on The Great Train Robbery in 1978. But that plan fell through in 1981 when he learned that he couldn't feature a real gorilla as one of the main characters. It also didn't help that the rights to the screenplay were sold to 20th Century Fox behind Crichton's back by executive producer Frank Yaplans. Fortunately, the rights would revert to Paramount Pictures a decade later, with Frank Marshall of Arachnophobia fame as director, his wife Kathleen Kennedy as producer, and John Patrick Shanley as the main screenwriter. Sadly, Crichton would have little to no involvement with the movie, despite being credited as a co-writer in the teaser trailer. While I don't know if the Congo novel was good, the movie on the other hand? Well, let's just see what happens when you take the creator out of the creative process. We open with a sightseeing tour of Africa as some professionals are getting ready for the journey to Mount Mukunko. Among the group is Charles Travis, played by Bruce Campbell. He's an employee of his dad's company named Travacom, and he has a video call with co-worker and ex-fiancée Karen Ross, played by Laura Linney, to explain why they are here.
Charles, did you really find it?
Chemically flawless. Blue diamond illuvia.
Now, Travacom is supposed to be a communications company, yet this is what they need blue diamonds for.
Would you say that test came back positive?
Now, in the novel, the blue diamonds were semiconductors that could be sold to Intel and made into microprocessors. Funny way to try and connect to reality, but that's science fiction for ya. Still, with some of the humor they had, and the fact that they have Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead and Army of Darkness, maybe we'll get to see some awesome action with him and that laser. For now, Charles goes to find another co-worker named Jeffrey Weems and begin looking for the source of those minerals. They end up in some ruins beyond a pond, and they keep going even when the nearby volcano starts rumbling. Jeffrey seems to disappear while Charles waits, but then oh please, you faced much worse in your other life. Meanwhile, Karen contacts her boss, R.B. Travis, played by Joe Don Baker. He's the kind of dad who cares little about his son and more about his business. And when he wonders why Charles isn't here for their scheduled video call, he tries contacting the expedition team and finds it dead. Also,
What was that?
Block your remote back scan. Give me a thermal readout resolved to 6-6.
What's that sound?
Could it be a killer gorilla? Karen and RB discuss what to do next and decide to keep quiet and pretend that it's business as usual. I'm sure the family members of that expedition team must be thrilled right now. Then we get rapid-fire exposition for, well, everything.
This satellite is our communications cash cow. In 3 years, it'll be obsolete. I need a new cash machine. This diamond, this is it.
Charles went into the Congo to please you.
I know you had feelings for it.
I almost married him, for Christ's sake.
You're gonna have to go down there, Dr. Ross. You're good in the field. You were good in Panama.
Karen agrees to join the expedition only if she's tasked to find Charles, not the diamonds. She calls RB out for being this cold towards her ex, but he says,
I'd be human later.
Back in Berkeley, California, we meet our other main character, Peter Elliott, played by Dylan Walsh. Alongside his assistant Richard, played by Grant Heslov, they are observing this mountain gorilla named Amy, who's painting something that looks like trees, with maybe the Eye of Providence. This is part of a program to teach her sign language, with special technology that translates her gestures into a voice.
Peter, Hello, Peter.
How old are you?
Amy, 7.
This is a talking gorilla, Moira. This gorilla is talking.
I know.
This isn't Mr. Ed.
Of course, Peter and Richard are having issues with understanding Amy's nightmares involving that eye in her paintings, and it takes Peter a bit of time to get a read on Amy's desires.
What's this room starting to look like?
It's the jungle. She's been painting the jungle.
However, no one wants to fund a trip to let Amy go home, except one person.
I will pay. I will pay for Amy to go home.
Yay, it's Tim Curry! He plays Herkimer Holmakaw, a wealthy businessman who tied Amy's drawing of the eye to the ring he was holding earlier. Richard finds this explanation suspicious, but Peter is like, oh, what's the worst that can happen?
Jungle.
That's right.
Tickle me.
Jungle.
Tickle
Home.
me.
Tickle me, Elmo, you are not. Unfortunately, it seems that our dear friend Holmakaw can't pay for the fuel. Maybe he isn't as financially stable as we thought. We then get some more rapid-fire dialogue between Peter, the plane crew, and Karen, the latter finally agreeing to pay for the fuel to get the trip started. And as they fly, we get a funny scene of Amy insulting Karen.
Ugly woman.
Yes, very, very ugly woman. Now let's get your seatbelt on. Forgive me, I'll explain later. Amy, we do not throw things.
Is that animal dangerous?
Humans are dangerous. Gorillas are very gentle.
Dude, any wild animal can become dangerous if provoked or threatened. They're not that different from humans. I mean, there's something to be said about keeping apes around people because someone might get hurt. But nah, let's watch Amy drink a martini.
A bizarre story containing...
You know, I think this movie might not be trying to take itself seriously. Karen then asks why Peter is teaching Amy to talk, and this is what we get.
A lonely impulse of delight.
Oh, so you were either bored or wanted a girlfriend. Makes sense. They arrive in Uganda and meet Eddie Ventro, played by Joe Pantoliano. He's organizing their expedition to be led by a guide named Monroe Kelly. While we're at it, we see some of the adventure elements in the book, including a Civil War subplot going on as indicated by a car bomb.
Oh shit, now what? What was that? I haven't got a clue, but why do I feel like this airport's just gone to shit?
Now we meet Monroe, played by Ernie Hudson, aka Winston Zedmore from Ghostbusters. He's a replacement for Charles Monroe, the Sean Connery character from the novel, who was inspired by fictional game hunter Alan Quatermain. And that's fine in my opinion. With the Civil War going on, they need to switch airports. And they do this by telling a driver to leave at literal gunpoint. Then they get stopped at a gate for questioning, leading to some rough treatment towards Peter and Richard. But everyone else is taken somewhere nice to be interrogated by Captain Wanta, played by Delroy Lindo.
Liar, lie, your pants on fire. So says my computer, Miss Ross. You used to work for the CIA, and now you're Travico.
At least they make these guys competent, whereas some movies would make non-Americans act like idiots. Karen and Monroe bribe the captain into letting them go and having some of his men escort the team, which makes sense with the Civil War going on, but Wanta has this to say about Homolka.
I only wish to explore and discover.
This fellow is a big bag of shit. You should shake this rat from off your neck. He owes money to everybody everywhere he goes.
What, the guy who's sometimes goofy isn't to be trusted? I don't know what to say. But they're finally allowed to leave, so they meet with their porters and bodyguards at the other airport. We learn more about Homolka, as he apparently led other expeditions to find the mythical lost city of Zinj. Monroe tells him that the city doesn't exist.
Fine. 3 members of the safari died from exposure. The 4th was shot by we don't know who. And he has done a lot of good, but mostly for Mr. Homolka.
Shut up, you filthy...
Filthy warrant.
Okay, if nothing else, these two keep the movie from being a total bore. If anything, they're the best part of this entire adventure story. Monroe especially, since he comes off as someone who's used to all sorts of danger since he's been out here for a while.
The border to Zaire is shut. How do we get across? Luck.
Hang up the sanduku.
Naturally, their plane gets shot at with rocket launchers, so they need to hurry on over. Karen uses a flare gun to redirect some of the rockets, which gives everyone time to jump out of the plane. Peter is thinking of abandoning the expedition, but it's too late for that. The journey begins, and Homolka asks Peter about the eyes drawn by Amy.
I think she was drawing the jungle home.
What about those oval shapes?
Just a shape she liked, something like that.
He just cares about getting his gorilla home, never mind the details. Here is when Karen reports to RB, who shows her a reading from the ape that attacked Charles earlier. All that is certain is that the animal is gorilla-like. Geothermal readings indicate the volcano will erupt soon, and then Amy comes by to knock over the equipment. Calm down, your pockets are safe. That night we get a pointless scene of Peter and Karen asking Monroe about the noise outside, but I know what's needed here.
Mating season. When there's a moon like that, every monkey for 200 miles thinks he's Elvis Presley.
At this point in the novel, the group would end up facing some dangers both from the Civil War and the jungle. But in the movie, not as much is shown and it feels rather mundane. For a while, the most dangerous thing is the snake which they killed. For real or not, I don't know. Then there are just random moments of Amy's shenanigans, Peter getting a leech in his pants, then this tribe of white-painted natives who are trying to revive this dead white guy. According to Karen, it's a fellow employee named Bob Driscoll, who might know what happened to the previous expedition. Oh, he died. I guess seeing Amy made him think of whatever attacked him. Time for a river rafting scene. Nothing too exciting happens, even when going through the rapids. Homolka insists that Amy can find the city of Zinj because she's being drawn to its open eye.
That gorilla has seen the city of Zinj, and she will take us there.
Have you been taking your medication?
Tim Curry is leaning into his usual performances, but he's rather subdued compared to any other movie I've seen him in. That night, we get an actual scary moment when some hippos attack, which makes sense since hippos are dangerous in real life, with them killing over 500 people a year. Oh, and another plane flies by and crashes. The expedition finally reaches the mountain. As they scale it and take in the incredible view, one thought comes to mind.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
No.
Two of their porters go missing and there's a fork in the road. The team decides to follow Amy to find the crashed plane. Turns out it's from Travacom since it thought Karen's team failed. Then come the regular gorillas who show up nearby.
That's a real monkey. No, that's some guy in a suit. Okay, but now that's a real monkey. No, that's another guy in a suit.
Yeah, as you are probably well aware by now, all the gorillas in the movie, including Amy, are portrayed by people in ape suits, provided by the legendary Stan Winston and his company. Now, while I think Stan has some great effects for movie creatures like robots, aliens, and the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park, apes don't exactly seem to be his forte. He admitted in an interview that he wanted Congo to serve as a proving ground to show that he could be able to do gorillas and do them well. Unfortunately, I don't think he was able to pull it off. As you can see with Amy here, putting the face of a lowland gorilla on the body of a mountain gorilla, and all the other gorillas in the movie. Sorry, Stan, no offense to you and your team, but they really should have hired Rick Baker instead. The guy knows how to do ape effects. Anyway, Amy tries communicating with the gorillas, and they are disinterested in her. Eventually, the team finds the remains of Charles's camp, but nearly all the equipment and all the bodies are gone. This is where they find an entrance to some ruins, and that one statue with the Eye of Providence.
Son of a bitch. It is the city of Zinj that I have looked for all my life.
Okay, but where are the killer gorillas? I was promised killer gorillas! It's a suspenseful and atmospheric moment, and Homolka even contributes a bit of lore.
The savagery of the guards was a legend. They instantly fell upon any thief, any transgressor.
Maybe the mines ran dry.
No! No! The diamonds are here!
Okay, that was funny.
Look, sir, Troy.
Looks like someone found an ancient chocolate bar. Or it's the one Charles had earlier. Most of them decide to go deeper into the ruins, while Richard decides to wait outside with Amy and 2 other guys.
What's your name?
Claude.
Claude? That's an unusual name for somebody from Mombasa.
Have you ever been to Mombasa?
No.
Then what do you know about it?
Smooth move, dumbass. Your complaining will get you killed.
Amy!
Speak of the devil. Meanwhile, the rest of the team finds some chamber that might lead to the diamonds. But then suddenly, Richard runs in all injured.
Help me! Richard! Let me go! Let me go! No! Richard!
So you were able to run to your friends to warn them, only to just die? We then see what killed him, beginning with a tossed head. They used slow motion for that? It can't be my copy. That actually happened? Is it just to hide what they look like? They still look so bad. Our heroes respond by setting up a base perimeter to keep the apes out with their sentry guns. But then the apes turn that strategy around by testing them.
Get down! Sentry down!
Oh, and Homolka was able to translate the hieroglyphics.
We are watching you.
Regardless, the expedition team manages to hold the line for a whole day. Amy and Homolka disappear soon after, and Monroe is chomping at the bit to find them and get the hell out of here. We then see Amy trying to communicate with the gorillas to see if they will take her in, and it's here where the team learns more about this place through some drawings. The humans of this place originally taught the gorillas to be like their guard dogs, only for the gorillas to turn on their masters at some point. This is probably a subtle nod to the novel that depicted these gorillas as hybrids with human-like features. There are also remains of crushed gorilla skulls, as if these gorillas will kill the regular versions of their kind. Time is also running out as the volcano will erupt soon.
Yeah?
They finally find Homolka in an open area that might lead to an exit. But this area also has...
the diamonds, my god!
Every word of it.
Of course, they don't look like blue diamonds as far as I can tell. This is also where we finally meet the killer gorillas of this movie. So, that's it? That's your specially bred killer gorilla? Sure, they have the gray hair from the novel, but again, they're supposed to have more human-like features, especially with their malformed skulls to lack the ridge you see in most gorillas. These things don't look that much different from the other apes in the movie. Plus, I'm guessing these designs probably weren't meant to be seen in an overly lit area like this, with no bushes or other foliage around. Just makes them look more fake than they already do. And then they have their curry. Our heroes shoot back in response, but the gorillas keep on coming. This leads to an escape through a large geode that contains the bodies of Charles and Jeffrey. So no last minute badassery from Bruce Campbell. Instead, it's Karen who has to use a diamond to power up the laser. But before things can get interesting, Amy shows up to save the day.
Ugly gorillas, ugly, go away.
Really? That's all it took? In the novel, our heroes were able to tell the gorillas to go away after deciphering their language. It's a cool way to turn the tides by using their speech against them. But instead, we have a regular gorilla insult the super apes who could easily just kill her and the rest of the team. Whatever, let's get a cheesy one-liner from Karen.
Put him on the endangered species list.
Anyway, laser time!
Come on, Monroe!
And remember, she works for telecommunications. The volcano erupts with some rather ugly lava effects. A lot of the killer gorillas die from that, because some seem to willingly jump into it. I got nothing. Our heroes used the opportunity to escape, though Peter and Amy needed some extra help from Karen and Moreau. They reach the crashed plane that still has a balloon to help everyone fly out. Then Karen contacts her boss about what happened. To no one's surprise, Arby is more interested in the diamond than what happened to his son.
You need a new cash machine. What would happen to the satellite if I put its phone number in this laser and pull the trigger? The chip from the transmitter's got the satellite's number, doesn't it?
Okay, but with how high up it is, the laser probably can't reach it. Oh, well, I guess it did. Hope its remains don't crash land onto people or animals. Peter then finds Amy walking among the gorillas. I guess they accepted her after all. She then communicates with sign language that she's staying here. Even with the volcano still erupting, everyone is confident that the remaining gorillas will get out safely. So our heroes take the balloon up and give one final look at the land below, floating to God knows where. So, I'll be honest, I was expecting a lot worse from this given past viewings. In the end, it wasn't that bad, but it still wasn't very good. I think the movie wanted to be a goofier adventure film with some serious story elements, but by doing so, it ignored a lot of the themes developed in the novel. The existence of those gorillas was meant to be an allegory about the dangers of human tampering with nature through selective breeding and teaching. Instead, we were just left with some generic-looking apes that are supposed to look more hybrid-like. I wasn't too fond of most of the characters either, except for Homolka and Moreau. That's not a surprise since they're played by named actors who at least tried. I also wished that Bruce Campbell had more screen time instead of serving as opening kill fodder, especially with how long the movie kept his fate up in the air until the very end. Still, the movie's special effects are about on par with other films at the time. The music by Jerry Goldsmith was also alright, and it actually made $150 million against a $50 million budget. Not too shabby for a film with poor writing and reviews. And it even had a couple games made for the Sega Saturn, PC, and Macintosh. I just don't think it deserved to make that much money, and I think its shout out by Freakazoid was way too generous for a movie this dull.
There. Now that's a real monkey.
That's a guy in a suit!
We're gonna have to see this again.
I'm the Media Hunter. Media's my prey, and reviewing them my way.